Welcome to the Talkingreef Tank Journal series. This is episode 2. In this episode, I'm going to take you through the initial tank setup. Last week I walked you through all of the equipment, and in this one we're going to go through the initial setup where we put in the sand, the rocks, the equipment, heaters, pumps, so on and so forth. This episode will take us right up to the point where we get ready to fill the tank up with water. And then that will continue on in the next episode when we actually take you through mixing the salt and adding it into the system. So all that said, I'm going to break away for a second. We're going to cut in closer on the tank and I'm going to walk you through that. And here's the various equipment that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to start off with the sand. We're going to move on to the rocks, the various ways to set that up. We're also going to mention about the pumps and stuff in here. For starters, I'll knock it off with the pumps here. As we talked about in the first episode, we do have two the MaxiJet pumps in this system. This is pretty close to how the final system is going to look. I did just put these in here as examples to show you. The final system is going to be a little bit different. Again, head over to talkingreef.com to check out information on how you may want to point this, direction of flow, the amount of flow that's needed in the system, and so on. We'll also see that we also see the heater that we talked about in the equipment episode. I've got my little stir stick that was left in here from when I was moving the sand bed around, straightening that stuff out. Now when it comes to the sand bed, what you're going to want to use is some sort of calcium carbonate based sand, whether it's live sand that you buy from your local fish store or play sand. There are a lot of different options. Make sure you head over to talkingreef.com. You can check out on the forums and on the various episodes about different options when it comes to that. There are ways to save some money if you are using a larger amount of sand. Now when determining the amount of sand, how high you're going to go, you may want to go with a shallow sand bed or a deep sand bed. Again, we have a lot of podcast episodes about the differences. If you are going with a deep sand bed, make sure you leave yourself about an extra half to a full inch of extra sand, because what's going to happen is after about a month or so of getting this thing set up, the sand bed is actually going to compress down and the amount of sand in there is going to shrink. So you want to be prepared for that. As we move on, we're going to talk about the various types of rocks, and more importantly, the various ways of setting up the rocks within the system. In this system, we've got three different methods. The first one, and the most simple, is taking your piece of rock and just dropping it right on the sand bed. Now this does work, but you want to keep in mind that over time, this rock is going to get worked down into the sand bed, and it's going to become a permanent feature in there. We also have a method of using a pedestal. In this case, what we have is a couple pieces of PVC cut to the desired length, a piece of egg crate, all of which can be at your local hardware store, and then your series of smaller rocks can sit right on top of that of this little pedestal. The last little option down here, depending on how you're setting it up, is the same thing as here without the egg crate. We're just using a couple pieces of PVC. We've got the rocks sitting right on top of them. Now, why do it this way and not all this way? Well, you can do it either way, but keeping the rocks elevated off the sand bed is going to allow for more surface area on the live rock. You've got to remember, your live rocks, the main purpose is for filtration. So the more surface area, the more water flow, the more filtration you're going to get. It's also going to allow you to get underneath the sand bed a little bit more for sand bed maintenance in a deep sand bed. And it'll also allow for other life, invertebrates, and other sand bed critters to get, have more area to live. So this is a quick summary. We're obviously going to have a set of lights up on here. That's going to be coming. You'll see that later on when we set things up. And that's pretty much it. The next step that we're going to do is throw some water in here. And that's a quick summary of the equipment that we're using, the rocks, the sand bed, the lights, the various other stuff that we're putting in there. Like I mentioned, it is just a quick summary. We're going to see a lot more as the series progresses. This is just a highlight to help get us going. In the next episode, we're going to talk about mixing up the sand, how you do that, and how you add the water into the system without disturbing the sand bed and everything else that we just set up. So make sure you check out that episode when it's available. For any more questions, comments, or concerns, or things that you'd like to see on the future episodes, make sure you head over to talkingreef.com. You can also head there to check out a lot more of the information that we talked about in this show. There's a lot of episodes on the live rock that we mentioned, the power heads, the sand beds, everything in there. A lot of this stuff was mentioned in the last episode, so this shouldn't be new to you. So we'll talk to you all then.